14 of the most unbelievable pageant stories. 14. Pretty as a picture. Vanessa Williams became the first African-American woman to be crowned Miss USA in 1984. The celebrations were short-lived though, as she was forced to resign when naughty pictures she had taken for Penthouse magazine became public. Vanessa made a successful career out of singing and acting. 13. An honest mistake. Who will ever forget Steve Harvey's major mishap at the 2015 Miss Universe pageant? I can't imagine anything worse for a person to be crowned as the most beautiful woman in the world, only to be told that it was a mistake. Harvey first crowned Miss Colombia, when in fact the winner was Miss Philippines. Surprisingly, Harvey was asked to host the pageant again the following year. 12. Always a plan B. In 1974, the South African teenager Annalene Creel became the new Miss World 4 days after being crowned the runner-up. The original winner of the pageant, Helen Morgan, had to resign when the media discovered that she was an unwed mother of an 18-month-old child. Although the rules never stipulated anything about children, the organizers asked her to resign to save them from potential embarrassment. 11. How to put yourself on the map. Caitlin Upton became the most famous Miss USA teen contestant in 2007, when she answered the question as to why she believed a fifth of most Americans cannot find the USA on a map. Her answer was simple: because most Americans don't have maps. She then complicated her answer by involving South Africa, Iraq, and Asia, by mumbling something about how Americans' education can help these other countries. 10. Standing her ground. It is not strange at all for beauty pageants and politics to mix. A good example is when organizers of Miss World banned South Africa from 1978 to 1990 due to the apartheid policies in the country. But when Miss World Canada, Anastasia Lin, was crowned in 2015, she was barred entry into China, where the event was being held in. Lin, who was actually born in China, is also a human rights activist and became very outspoken about the human rights abuses in her native country. Lin made it to the Hong Kong International Airport, where she was barred entry into mainland China. 9. Boy oh boy. Miss Universe Canada finalist in 2012, Jenna Talakova, was kicked out of the national competition when organizers heard she was born a boy. Jenna transformed gradually but had her surgery to remove her feminine bits at the age of 19, and officials said she lied on her entry form as it stated that you had to be a naturally born female. 8. Leaving no stone unturned. Miss World 2002 made international headlines when several beauty queens decided to boycott the pageant to be held in Nigeria. Religious riots broke out, killing 200 people, and a woman by the name of Amina Lawal was sentenced to death by stoning after an Islamic Sharia court found her guilty of adultery. That further fueled 12 countries withdrawing from the competition. A few others, however, changed their minds when the pageant moved to London at the last minute. Activists were able to successfully persuade the organization to push for the release of Mrs Lawal, who was placed into federal custody. The pageant was eventually won by Miss Turkey. 7. When a dream turns into a nightmare. For Miss Honduras, Maria Jose Alvaro, 2014 was going to be her year to reach for the stars. But a few days before leaving for London to compete in the Miss World pageant, Maria was shot and killed while protecting her sister Sofia. Their bodies were discovered the day before she was set to depart for London. Maria's stylist was also brutally murdered, and his body was discovered a few days later. 6. Head over heels. Who cares about being the most beautiful woman in the universe if you have met the love of your life? In 1952, Ami Kosela won the first ever Miss Universe title and also became the first ever winner to give up her crown. Ami traveled the world as part of her reign until she met a Filipino businessman. Ami opted for a ring rather than a crown. 5. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Protesting became synonymous with life in the USA in the late 60s. In 1969, a group of feminists organized a march against the Miss USA pageant, saying that all women were beautiful, not only those who get an irrelevant crown on what they called a throne of mediocrity. Protesters went even further by throwing pads, tampons, and underwear into a freedom trash can. 4. All is fair in love and war. Lebanon and Israel have been at war since 2006, and clearly the Lebanese expected their Miss Universe finalist of 2015 to stay away from Miss Israel, as they are not allowed to have contact with any Israelis. The girls took a selfie sitting next to each other, and all hell broke loose on social media. Miss Lebanon was even threatened that her title would be revoked. 3. All kinds of things on this menu. The title of Mr. Gay Worldwide 2010 went to a South African restaurateur, Charles van den Berg. Charles, however, had a colourful past when it came to light that he had once made a sexually explicit video, only available to subscribers on a porn site. Pageant organisers did not seem too fazed by this and defended van den Berg, who kept his title. Charles said it was his aim to help break down stereotypes. 2. Sex, lies and videotapes. The Q&A session at any beauty pageant is the make or break that can seal the deal for the much-wanted crown. Miss USA California 2009 was either very stupid or so steadfast in her beliefs that she told celebrity judge Perez Hilton, who is openly gay, that marriage should be between a man and a woman. This was not the end of the controversy, as Carrie Prejean was eventually stripped of her title by the then pageant owner Donald Trump, even though he shared her views. It did not end there, as Miss Prejean went on to sue the pageant for slander and religious discrimination. The pageant organizers countersued. Miss Prejean dropped the lawsuit when an X-rated sex tape of her emerged. 1. When things turn ugly. Now here is a pageant where you can enter year after year in Zimbabwe with only one requirement: you have to be ugly. 3-time winner William Masvinu was clearly too overconfident, as he was stripped of his title in 2015. According to judges, the new Mr. Ugly, Miss Honduras, was naturally ugly and did not need to pull any faces to prove himself. Masvinu later complained, saying Sia won simply because he had no teeth. The rules clearly state that disabilities or enhancements are against the rules. Have you ever entered a beauty pageant? If so, share your experience with us in the comments below. And subscribe to our channel for more intriguing videos just like this. Thanks for watching.